Welcome back to the Hero's Journey Project. It's the podcast. We're on episode number 55 already. This is craziness. 55. Can you believe it? It's great. So we're working our way through the golden age, reading about all sorts of superheroes from that era. When we left off, we were in March of 1945. We're going to keep continuing with March of 1945. So without further ado, let us get to the 10 books for the week. Ready and go. All right, so first up we have Kid Comics number 7. This is an Alex Schomburg cover. And again, you got a flaming hero on the cover, but he's not blasting through a wall. So Alex Schomburg is moving away from his signature effect, style from a lot of the early 40s. And it's great. So we've got this issue is 36 pages. It's down from 52 pages in the previous issue. And obviously the Young Allies are featured in this book. They're splattered all over the cover. It even says they're featured. Can't beat that. So the Young Allies story in this issue is split up into 3 chapters. I mean, the chapters are pretty short. They're something like 6 to 10 pages. So here, chapter 1, the mystery of the sinister black bag. So essentially, the whole story is that the Young Allies get into trouble with some thugs when they mistakenly take their black bag with a false bottom full of stolen money. So this is all a case of mistaken identity that gets our Young Allies into trouble. But then, of course, they become the heroes because, they stole something from bad guys, even though it was a mistake. So here's the splash for chapter 2, the Spectre of Death, right? See, at this point, they hadn't figured out that the bag had a false bottom with all the stolen money in it. And then the final chapter, chapter 3, Hidden Plunder. So I guess this is where they figure out that has a false bottom, right? Only makes sense. After that, we have a story from WHIZZER, right? So the WHIZZER, he keeps up with some ex-convicts that can't quite stay one step ahead of him, right? So it's the WHIZZER versus the Death Trap. Can't out Fox, outspeed, can't go faster than the WHIZZER. All right, Leading Comics number 14. So this is kind of a big deal here, right? It's okay cover. I guess you got the bunch of the guys on the cover here. They're not all there. No. Okay. So let's do this. So here's what the story is about, right? A scientist. So here's the splash page from chapter 1. I'm not going to show all the splash page from all the chapters because it's just too many. It's like 6-7 chapters. So a scientist discovers a way to bring storybook characters to life, and they get loose, causing all sorts of mayhem. And then so the 7 soldiers of victory are tasked with rounding them up, while the scientist figures out how to send them back into their respective stories, right? Crazy, golden age, nuttiness, right? Doesn't make sense. Sure. So this is the last issue that I'll be reading in this series, because Leading Comics after this, starting with issue 15, the series keeps going, but it turns into a humor book. Like it's all sorts of, animals doing fun stuff. And I'm not, no more heroes. So there's no more heroes in the series after issue 14. As I've said before, we're seeing the transition where the DC books seem to be switching over to more humor books for a lot of them, and this is one of them. So a couple things in this, right? So this will be the last time, to at least the modern age, that you hear me complaining that Wing is not one of the 7 soldiers of victory, although he's just in the stories all the time and he's all over the place, and the other sidekicks did make the cut. So last time that I complain about Wing and try to stand up for him, and the fact that he's not officially on the a recognized member of the team. Now, also, so this is the last Golden Age appearance of the Seven Soldiers of Victory, right? So this is last Golden Age appearance of the team, but it is also the last Golden Age appearance for Crimson Avenger. So we won't see the Crimson Avenger again until sometime later, I believe, in the modern age, probably bronze at the earliest. But that's it. He's done. We won't see him again. His last appearance. Say goodbye to him. Oh, like a lot of the other characters that we've been reading about: Star Spangled Kid, Stripesy, Green Arrow, Speedy. We'll see those guys still. Those guys are featured in a lot of other issues still. That's it for that. All right, moving on. Marvel Mystery Comics number 62. Another Alex Schomburg cover. But now you do have his signature, fire guy blasting through a wall. Lots going on the cover of this. Somehow there's bullets being fired. There's an executioner type guy that seems to have his axe chopped in half. Some sort of crazy torture device at the bottom there. Is that Toro? Is it not? I don't know, but it just, all you see is the heads. Some very crazy torture device going on here. So again, DC going to humor books, Marvel heading more towards the horror genre. So, all right, let's start with this. Lots of stuff going on in this issue. The first story is Human Torch and the Dolls of Death. See the blasting through walls, right? Nice. Human Torch and Toro figure out how a gang is using handmade dolls with bombs in them to murder and extort money. Right? So crazy story. Dolls that blow up. Next up is Submariner. There's a splash in the Fountains of Flame. Right, so Submariner discovers that a Japanese agent is using flame bombs that can create intense heat on and underwater to destroy U.S. naval ships. So here's, so this is a splash page from that story, right? Got a flame bomb heading towards Submariner there. Guy in the foreground's not happy about having his line cut. And then cut to here. If you look at the top right, I wanted to feature, just for fun, I wanted to feature some art that shows up in the issue. But if you look at the top right panel, there's a cutout of the flame bombs, right? So it just shows how there's actually a water tank, but then it makes the fuel ignite and can create flame underwater and on the water, which is very dangerous. Miss America is back. Triple mysteries. So there's a lot going on. So a lot of things going on in this issue or story. Miss America catches an elusive thief that is using a flying house as a means of escape. Right? So lots going on. You got a lot of things going on there. If you look at the if you look at the bottom left of the page in the headlines, there's, you got an escaped criminal, you've got a scientist that's missing, you got an enemy bomber reported over the city. Turns out it's just a flying house, and the flying house can touch down. Ooh, seems like it's part of the neighborhood. Bad guy runs in, flies up in the sky. Hey, where'd the bad guy go? And weren't there more houses on this street? So that's some Golden Age goodness for you. Doesn't need to make sense. I'm pretty sure this won't be a storyline for any Marvel movie anytime soon. But if anyone's compiling the most ridiculous Golden Age stories, please put this in your compilation. I nominate it for sure. Same with the leading comics there with Seven Soldiers of Victory, bringing the storybook characters to life and then have to find a way to bring them back, put them back in the books. After that, you're looking at the Patriot, the mystery of the $1 million loot, right? So the Patriot stumbles onto a scheme of a gang to blackmail a banker into robbing his own bank. Crazy, huh? The Angel, the epicure of crime. The Angel matches wits with a gentleman thief named the Epicure, who gets away in the end. So I don't know if this character shows up again, but he gets away, and he's a fancy gentleman thief. The Epicure, he's called. right? Why not? Okey-doke. Moving on. Master Comics number 59. Kind of a goofy cover. You're not really, I can't imagine this one's really going to be well sought after for its cover. But could be wrong. Radar's in it. So if you're looking for some good content, Radar, go for it. Read it. Highly recommended. So here's Radar's called a title page, not really splashy. Radar is sent on an easy mission to help set up an international police force station in Africa, only to find out it's been taken over by Nazis. Yeah, so the war, a lot of the war stories are winding down, but you still, this is, this is another story where the Nazis are kind of going to their plan B because things didn't work out in the overall theater of war. Captain Marvel Jr. and the Upside Downies. All right, so yeah, I'm going to nominate this one too for kind of a ding dong type of story from the Golden Age. Captain Marvel Jr. solves the mystery of the disappearing Upside Downies being taken by a man with a helicopter and an invisible lasso to retrieve he's so this guy's being kidnapped by a man with a helicopter and an invisible lasso to revive a vaudeville act, right? So these are people who walk on their hands and everything in their town's upside down, the Upside Downies, and they want Captain Marvel Jr.'s help, and they're all, oh, you can walk on his feet, he must be super. This March 1945 shows a lot of goofy stories in it for sure. More fun comics, number 102. I think this is a pretty good example of how the some superhero comics are heading to more humor themed, right? I mean, this cover is humor themed, but we still have heroes in it. So let's talk about it. All right, so More Fun Comics 102. The first story in there is the Green Arrow and the Unattainable Princess. So Green Arrow and Speedy attend a publicity stunt for a Hollywood movie to stop some gangsters from taking advantage and helping the right man win the contest. Right, so it's all publicity stunts, a contest, save a princess that'll be featured in a movie. Next up, Superboy, the Cruise of the Jolly Roger. Right, so Superboy plays pirates with some friends when some escaped convicts take over their river raft. So now I'm going to say this is a really benign story. Very, it's just some guys playing on a river raft and gangsters are trying to run from the coppers, and they end up hijacking the river raft with the kids on it. And it's a simple story, but it really fits because you're talking about Superboy's first adventures and him learning about his powers and how to deal with it. And he's not looking for crime, or looking for people to help. He's he just ends up in a situation where he has to help himself and his friends. So it really works. Actually, I mean, like, it's not like groundbreaking story, but in terms of character building, I really liked it. It was a great story. Also, he does get shot in this issue, and based on his reaction, he seems very surprised that the bullets bounced off him. So this could be, in terms of timeline, the earliest that the earliest time that Superman was shot, and he learned that a bullet could not penetrate his skin. Could be timeline only, chronologically not even close, but in terms of timeline, sure. And it was just neat. It's great. It's a good way to develop the character. So I feel that I can see how they would want to build this Superboy character out a little more, adds more depth to the Superman stories, as long as it doesn't get too ridiculous, but we'll see. Okay, Johnny Quick is up, and he's against the Bird and Bee Bandits. All right, so Johnny Quick is at a pet show when thugs rob the guest using bees to distract and carrier pigeons to take away the loot. So you got a beekeeper who has these trained bees that'll attack on command, essentially, or when they're told. And he lets them loose on all the guests in at this annual pet show. And everyone's freaking out, oh my God. And then so the bad guys just walk around and grabbing the loot, boop, 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 boop. They've got the little mesh nets on over the face so they don't get hurt, but grabbing the loot, and then these carrier pigeons fly down, give them the loot, and they take off. And that's a pretty good scam. But Johnny Quick manages to sort it all out because he's so fast. Aquaman, silent sounds, right? I'm not gonna lie, this does remind me of the Simon and Garfunkel song, Sounds of Silence, but this is silent sound, so it's not quite the same. Aquaman tracks the source of vibrations in the sea to a science vessel and finds that some crooks were also attracted by the machine that creates sonic waves for their own nefarious intentions, right? So the scientists are working and creating these sonic waves in the ocean, and it's really distracting and disruptive. So Aquaman's, hey, you're disturbing the fish. I don't like that. The guys are like, well, sorry. They're thinking, we don't want to do on land and disturb the humans, but the fish were okay. So anyways, these crooks are like, what the hell is that? And they were out fishing. Well, what's going on? So they go check it out. And they're like, oh, we could use this sonic wave machine for our own, like I said, nefarious intentions. Crooks looking for an angle. Good times. Okay, Mystic Comics number 4. You got another Alex Schomburg cover. Now, you got Toro blasting through a trees. I don't know if that counts as blasting through something on the cover. Fun cover, though. Lots going on. Young allies going nuts. Shooting some Japanese Axis. Okay, so now this is the last issue in the series. So we had issue 1 to 4. And this is the last issue of volume 2 of Mystic Comics, right? So it went 1 to 4, no more issues in the series. And then so there's a one long story in this that I was reading about, and it's the Young Allies, and it's a story again told in 3 chapters. But these were actually a bit longer chapters. So here, let's start with this. So the Young Killers and the Walking Dead. So the Young Allies take down a killer who gets sent to the electric chair, but then he's brought back to life by a mad scientist. And of course, the guy comes back to life, kills the scientist, because that's what he does. And then in chapter 2, which is the House of Horror, the revived killer takes Toro and Bucky hostage during their escape. And the revived killer takes Toro and Bucky hostage. During their escape, the killer... What? Let's go find Superman. I don't know. Look. The revived killer takes Toro and Bucky hostage during their escape, chasing down the killer. Killer finds a secret formula for bringing the dead back to life. There you go. So that was just a loaded sentence that I couldn't put the pauses in the right place. Final chapter, the dead that kill, right? So you got this thug who brought some other thugs back to life. So the killer brings 3 other murderers back to life, and they go on a rampage until the Young Allies stop them with fire, which is the only thing that can put an end to the Walking Dead. And fortunately, one of the guys on the team is made of fire. So that really does help in the end. Police Comics number 40. It's a fun cover. I mean, again, it's going to be kind of more of a filler cover than the rest of it. I feel like, again, these are all starting to look a lot alike. Fun, but a lot alike. So there's the splash page for Plastic Man. Plastic Man solves a murder at Woozy's rooming house that is filled with colorful characters. Yeah, they're all colorful characters. And then Human Bomb, here's his title page. I do like the art in the story. It looks, it's pretty good. It's well done. But a sickly billionaire accidentally ingests some bang formula when visiting Human Bomb and Throckmorton at their lab, and thugs tried to kidnap him. So he ingests the bang. For the bang formula is what gives Human Bomb the power in his hands, and also Hughes Throckmorton power in his feet to blow things up. Now all this did was give this guy his health back. So this old billionaire just wanted to live longer, and doctors really couldn't help him feel better. So anyway, some of his bang formula gave him his health back. It's a lot less cranky. Sensation Comics number 39. Nice lion cover. Wonder Woman and the Return of the Roman Empire. Fun, right? So Wonder Woman and the Holiday Girls end up on a newly discovered island by the US, and they find that it's inhabited by a descendant of Nero and other Roman citizens. So here's the splash page for Wonder Woman in the clutches of Nero. So it seemed like civilization sort of stood still on this island, and they were still living in the Roman era. And just these were descendants of the people who fled Rome when it burned. Mr. Terrific is back. He was absent for some reason in the last issue of Sensation Comics. Back this issue, and he's framed for murder, but has a hard time solving the mystery after he loses his memory. Mr. Terrific, I'm not gonna lie, it doesn't impress me all that much, so we're gonna move on. WILDCAT, and we got a story from Stretch Skinner's Secret File. So WILDCAT stops would-be thieves from stealing a huge diamond and hurting Stretch and his cousin from South America, who brought the diamond with him. So he stops would-be thieves from stealing a huge diamond and hurting Stretch and his cousin from South America. So Stretch's cousin from South America came up to the big city in the US with a big diamond, and then they had like a decoy, and the cousin was hiding the diamond all along. Doesn't speak a lot of English. Antics and chaos ensue. It was great. It's great. Star Spangled Comics number 42, another lion cover, if that's your thing. So it's obviously featuring Newsboy, Legion, and the Guardian, plus other top features. The art doesn't impress me on this cover. Just seems phoned in. It seems like panel art, to be honest. If we're being honest, that's what I feel. So Newsboy, Legion, and the Power of the Press is splash page. I don't know what happened to the Guardian's face here. He does not look like that's him at all. Doesn't resemble how he's usually drawn. So the Newsboy Legion begin publishing their own paper, and they begin a crusade against crime, which attracts the attention of the underworld. So naturally, the Guardian steps in to save them. Job, Guardian. Robotman and One Track Tuttle. So Robotman and Robbie the Robot Dog stop One Track Tuttle from robbing a safe that he's obsessed with opening. So Robotman helped one of his friends who was being robbed quite often, is having a hard time keeping his business afloat because the safe kept getting robbed. So Robotman gives him a better safe. The bad guys, the crooks, thieves, that the head was had a one-track mind. That's why it's called One Track Tuttle, and he just had to break into his safe, and he failed a couple times, couldn't. Robotman shows up, says, "Hey, what's up, guys?" And it kind of stops the whole thing. I find it funny on this the main large panel on this page. If you look at the guy in the bottom right corner in the green, he's got his tongue out like, I don't know. Looks like he's at the doctor's, and he's got a tongue depressor there. Why not? And then Star Spangled Kid and of course Stripesy feature in Peril and Plunder. So Star Spangled Kid and Stripesy figure out the scheme by some crooks to blow up a mountain to make it seem like a volcano erupting, and then loot the vacant hotel, because everyone's going to flee the hotel when they think that a volcano has been erupting. And certainly the bad guys had floated around rumors that this was a possibility. So you combine the fear with the action, people run. Liberty Bell riding 2 swordfish. Why not? Here, chalk this one up to Goofy 1 2. Liberty Bell discovers that Nazis are using swordfish to attack natives to scare them away from the pearls in the area. Right, so you got natives in the South Sea who are diving for pearls, and the Nazis are using swordfish that they kind of direct towards these natives to kill them and attack them and keep them from diving for the pearls so that the Nazis can scoop up all the pearls and the loot for themselves. Why not? Why not? Finally, last issue of this episode. So 10th issue, right? Submariner Comics number 16. Not the brightest colored scan, I get it. But you've got Submariner on the front, the Angel. It is an Alex Schomburg cover. It is 36 pages. It's down from 52. There are 2 Submariner stories, down from 3. And so in the first story, Submariner, the Black Demon of Death. Submariner catches a Nazi spy that was kidnapping top men in the aviation field for their secrets. Second story, Rendezvous with Death. So death is a theme. Submariner protects the heir to a plantation in Cuba from another heir who wants it all for himself. It's an age-old tale. And then the Angel, Mystery of a Horror House. So they're clearly going towards horror stuff in the timely books. I get it. I get it. See the theme. Angel catches the greedy nephew who killed his aunt, looking to inherit her fortune. So this is like the new thing now. These rich people don't have kids of their own, and they're always trying to give everything to their nephews nephews. You know what's nephew? It's always a nephew. Never niece, never niece. Aunts, uncles are giving stuff away to their nephews, and the nephews just are always greedy and try to kill them early. You know, it's a thing. This is coming up more and more. We're seeing less, World War II type themes with the Axis and the Japanese and the Germans, but more now it's the nephew. Nephew's the new thing. Okay, so here's a recap. You got the 10 covers, right? 10 covers of the 10 issues we just went over. You've got 4 timely books, 1 quality, 1 faucet, and 4 DC books. So which one of these 4 do you, or which one of these 4, which one of these books do you think would be the most valuable book on the market today, right? So most recent sales, comparing grade, CGC, graded books by sale. And now the data comes from Go Collect. So it's as per the data that they publish on their website. I don't know that there's any particular issue that would stand out on cover alone, content alone. I mean, you've got Leading Comics. It's the last issue where 7 Soldiers of Victory appear in Golden Age, last Golden Age appearance of Crimson Avenger. It's the last issue before it turns into a humor book. Mystic Comics, last issue of that run. Now, it was only a 4-issue run, so I don't know if, it's almost a mini series. I don't know if that's really going to make a difference at that point. It doesn't seem to be like where it doesn't have, the last issue of the run doesn't seem to have as much effect as it does when it comes to modern comics, where the print run really sort of died down and the later issues tend to be more scarce. But you got 4 timely books, 4 DC books. Maybe people like the lion covers. I don't know. Hey, maybe you like the 2 ding dongs there on the pole, or the upside down guys. Heck, maybe you're a Plastic Man fan. But let's find out, shall we? Here's the big reveal. Boom. All right, so big surprise. A timely book took it. I think, to be fair, I don't know this cover of Submariner Comics very well, but it seems to be it might be a classic, something people like. So that sale, big sale, 9.8, June of 2021 for $40,800. So this was, no surprise, part of the Promise collection, right? That pedigree from CGC, where in June they auctioned off the first 300 books from that collection. And they were all in fantastic, fantastic condition, right? So 9.8. That's insane. A 9.8 that some guy had in his attic. It wasn't even necessarily protected in bag and board for all that time. It was stashed away in an attic. Like that's impressive. 70-plus-year-old book. Now, while I didn't see any sales for any of the other books that were part of the pedigree. So it's either maybe those books were part of the collection, but they haven't come up for auction yet. But either way, I was able. The Mystic Comics was the other issue that was a contender, the top contender, anyways. And I compared some lower grades for Mystic Comics and Submariner Comics, and Submariner Comics actually came out ahead. So that, the one-off for the Promise collection, it tends to skew the numbers a little bit because of such a high grade and the fact that it's going to be the only one at that grade. So I was able to compare some lower grades, and Submariner Comics still comes out ahead. So there you have your winner for the week. Most valuable book out of the 10 based on today's market is Submariner Comics number 16. Everyone, no books under 100 this year, or this week for any of the books. I mean, yeah, maybe in the lower grades, it might have been some, but the most recent sales were well over 100. The Master Comics got another 9.2, but that's from March of 2015, $580. I don't even know if that's I don't know what that would go for today. Like I said, there's nothing to make this a key issue. The cover doesn't really stand out, but there's only 5 on the CGC census, according to our good friends over at Go Collect. And then Police Comics is also not a lot of books graded. So you've got 8 on the census. Most recent sale for that one as well is April 2018 for $195 and a 6.5. So, these books may just not come up for auction much, not a lot graded. No one cares about them, maybe. I honestly don't know. Got some decent sales for the other timely books, though. 5.0 for that Kid Comics for $13.20, 5.5 Marvel Mystery Comics for $12.50, and then the Mystic Comics for $4,800, also in June of 2021, in a 7.5. Those are great, decent numbers if you have them in your pocket. Leading Comics 7.0 sold in June for $324. Doesn't look like that issue and its significance, or maybe people didn't find it too significant. Yeah, doesn't command too much of a premium. Again, I don't know if the line covers are really that much of an attraction. The Star Spangled Comics only $350 in the 7.0 back in April. But yeah, there you have it. Those are 10 books for the week. That's the 10 books. So that's 2 series that I'll stop reading now. I mean, Leading Comics I stopped reading because I switched to humor books. Mystic Comics because it ended last time, and then a hero and a team that I won't be reading about anymore. So Crimson Avenger, in Wing, and then the 7 Soldiers of Victory, won't be reading about them until, I don't know, if we keep the show going, it won't be for a long time. And then 7 Soldiers of Victory, right? 7 Soldiers of Victory. We got Wing, Crimson Avenger. Won't see those guys for a long time. 2 issues, 2 series I won't be reading anymore. So that's it. That's what I'm saying. Like, I have been saying things are winding down a little bit for some of these issues. You're seeing the change. You're seeing things evolve. We're moving into humor books. We're moving into horror books. I mean, the Fawcett and the Quality Comics don't indicate the same sort of trend, although, I mean, Police Comics, the Quality Comics do have a lot of humor type stuff in them already. And Plastic Man is really kind of a humor type character. And the Fawcett comics tend to be lighter humored with their stories, like the Upside Down guys. Like, they're not taking themselves too seriously as it is. So we'll see how that all plays out. I mean, the heroes are still playing a large part, so it's not like they're going away, but Yeah, the stories. We'll see what happens. See what happens. This is part of the fun. All right. So we're still in March 1945. We'll pick up March of 1945 next time. Thanks for joining me. Tune in next time. Same bad time, same bad channel.